accept the nomination. I, Akim Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
A lot of bank officials are involved in fraudulent activities.
Lawmakers go tough on bank fraudsters, seek stiffer penalties.
The Nigerian cocoa market crashed in 1990.
And how set to reposition the country as the largest producer in Africa as it reviews the Nigerian cocoa production policy. A warm welcome to House Ticket, your legislative window into the activities of the House of Representatives sitting in Abuja. My name is Rashida Abubakar, standing in for your regular and call. Lawmakers have considered the report of the special committee set up to investigate the killings of some persons at some Nigerian border towns by men of the Nigeria Customs Service, adopting far-reaching recommendations. Also on this episode, lawmakers seek to investigate the ongoing recruitment at the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund. Report of these and more on this episode of House Ticket. From the committees, we report the events around an ad hoc committee set up to investigate issues around real estate developers in the FCT. These and many more on this episode of House Ticket. Do stay with us.
If we set our minds right, embrace each other in love and brotherhood, we will come through these troubling times. We will survive, we will recover, and then we will thrive. One nation under God, free, peaceful, and prosperous.
Plenary for Thursday, the 3rd of February 2022 could not hold due to some technical reasons. For Tuesday, the 1st and Wednesday, the 2nd, the House considered several bills, motions, as well as reports brought before it. For the high points of plenary, let's take some reports presented and compiled from our studio.
Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
13 bills were presented at the Green Chamber for first reading on Tuesday, the 1st day of February 2022. On report submission, Chairman, House Committee on Health Institutions, Representative Pascal Obi, submitted 3 reports to the House on health bills the committee has worked on. The bills are a bill for an act to establish Federal Medical Center, Boni, Rivers State, and other related matters. A bill for an act to establish Alex Ekweme Federal Teaching Hospital, Abakaleke, Ebonyi State, and for related matters. And a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of a Federal Medical Center, Amagu Ikwo, Ebonyi State, and for related matters.
The report of the Committee on Basic Education.
Representative Julius Ihovere, Chairman House Committee on Basic Education and Services, also laid 2 reports on motions referred to his committee for investigation. They are a report on the call for the rehabilitation of unity schools across Nigeria and a report on the need to investigate the fire outbreak at the Federal Government College, Kefi.
A bill for an act to
There were also bills passed as second reading during Tuesday's plenary. They include a bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center, Rigasa, Kaduna, and for related matters, a Senate bill sent for concurrence, and a bill for an act to alter Part 1 of the 5th Schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to expand the scope of the Code of Conduct for public officers to facilitate realizations of food and economic security and for related matters. It was sponsored by Representative Balarabe Shehu Kakali.
The bill is essentially to expand the scope of agricultural services and production in the country as allowed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Colleagues can recall that the crafters of the Constitution, particularly 1979 up to 1999, only allowed farming And a lot of Nigerians think by the 21st century, farming is restrictive and does not carry the worldview and the intentions of even the current policy of government in food production as far as the realization of aspirations of the country in economic and agricultural security is concerned.
Realization of food and economic security. Mr. Speaker, I think that's a very good move, but then I have to sort of like look at all his submissions in support of his bill to determine whether I'm supporting it fully. But in principle, I support it.
The bill was referred to the Committee on Constitution Amendment for further work. On motions that Tuesday, the need to address the devastating gully erosion at the University of Benin and surrounding communities was brought to the floor by Representative Dennis Idahosa.
That over the years, gully erosion has been causing severe damages to the infrastructure and ecological environment at the University of Benin and the adjoining communities. The House also notes that the erosion has cut off the university from the host community, making life unbearable for staff and students, including Igwe Hana, Igwe Fosa, Uta, and adjoining communities.
The House resolved to urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing and the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, to commence remedial work in the affected communities to restore access to the University of Benin and other parts of Edo State. Also urged the Ecological Fund Office and the Nigerian Erosion and Watershed Management Project New Map urgently collaborate to seek a permanent solution to erosion menace facing the University of Benin and surrounding communities by funding and constructing alternative routes to the university, and mandate the Committee on Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) to investigate the non-completion of the contract awarded by the NDDC in 2012 to tackle the gully erosion.
The motion is on the
Representative Adam Aliu Kuye also moved a motion on the need to review the cocoa production policy of the country.
The House should note that Nigeria was once a major player in the cocoa production, being the second largest producer in the world with 450,000 tons, and the country's top foreign exchange earner in the 1950s and 60s, before the discovery of crude oil in commercial quantity in the 70s. Also note that the Nigerian cocoa market crashed in 1990 as production fell to 170,000 tons and was impacted by the structural adjustment policies of the 80s that included the dissolution of the Cocoa Marketing Board to liberalize cocoa marketing trade and allow improved cocoa output and pricing.
The House, in resolving the matter, mandated the Committee on Agricultural Production and Services to liaise with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to review all existing cocoa commodity laws and develop a national cocoa policy to reposition the country as the largest cocoa producer in Africa and its recognizable position in the world, and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Still on the first day of February, the House dissolved into the Committee of the Whole and took consideration of reports from the Committee of Customs and Excise led by Representative Leke Abejide. The reports considered and adopted were that of investigative hearing on the unrest in Isheyin local government area of Oyo State due to the killing of 4 persons by the men of the Nigerian Customs Service, investigative hearing on the murder of 10 people in Jibia, Katsina State, also by men of the Nigerian Customs Service, and another investigative hearing on the murder of 4 persons at Igangan, Oyo State, still by men of the Nigerian Customs Service.
Got it? 2, 3, 4.
The committee recommended 20 million naira for each soul lost. That provision should be made for procurement of ballistic vehicles, bulletproof vests and helmets urgently for the Nigerian Customs Service to confront smugglers attacking their officers at the border stations. The Nigerian Customs Service should aggressively deepen its engagement with traditional rulers, community stakeholders, host communities, relevant trade associations, local police network, and local security outfits to prevent future loss of lives and properties on all sides. The report was adopted when the House reverted to plenary.
In favor of the motion, say aye. Against any, that's have it.
For Wednesday, the 2nd of February 2022, the House passed 7 bills for second reading. One of them was a bill for an act to amend the Bank Employees Etc. Declaration of Asset Act of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and for related matter, sponsored by Representative Francis Ejirogene.
First is to ensure that the banks have up-to-date data that is updated yearly on their staff, so that when there are infractions, it's easy to trace the staff who is involved. Well, in a day when bank fraud has increased with the Yahoo business that the young people are doing. But more importantly, it is to increase the punishment for bank staff who are involved in fraudulent activities in customers' accounts.
Lawmakers added their voices to what the bill seeks to address.
I think that this bill should be allowed to go and call the critical stakeholders in that industry, including those who borrow a lot of money and those who deposit. So come and say their opinion. We must trace whosoever is got to do, not just fraud. There are different types of fraud.
Mr. Speaker, I think we should not even be interested about the 20 years. If, in my own opinion, it should be more. If I give my money to a bank, fraudulently some bank officials conspire with fraudster to take money from customers' account. And again, they are under oath, but they disclose information regarding to some customers that did not play their own card.
An institution that accommodates somebody who can occasion fraud on a bank worker, on a bank customer, should be able to be restricted. The bank itself should be liable to the point of putting back the victim in the state where he was prior to that fraud. So we cannot allow a situation where somebody, because of absence of database, elopes, and secondly, because of punishment of 10 years. I think the 10 years is adequate. What is most important is that we put the customer, the Nigerian citizen, in a position where he doesn't suffer, continuous or perpetual jeopardy because he has lost his money.
The bill was referred to the Committee on Banking and Currency for further legislative action. The other bills read a second time include a bill for an act to amend the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria Act Cap A12, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 as amended, a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Land and Resource Technology, Raba, Sokoto State, to provide for full-time courses, teaching instruction and training in environmental sciences, agricultural technology, natural sciences, agronomy, and extension for related matters by Representative Ibrahim Mustafa. A bill for an act to establish the Federal University Teaching Hospital, Lokoja, Kogi State, and for related matters. It was sponsored by Representative Abdullahi Ibrahim. A bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center, Saminaka, Kaduna State, and related matters by Representative Ahmad Munir.
Establishing this Federal Medical Center will play an outsized role in strengthening the health status of the constituents of Lere Federal Constituency and beyond. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, Lere Federal Constituency is undergoing an exponential population growth, giving rise to healthcare delivery gap and hence the desire to have the presence of a tertiary healthcare institution to bridge this chasm, to improve the quality of lives of the masses, particularly our women folk and children.
The bills were referred to the appropriate committees for continuation of legislative consideration. Moving to motions, Representative Kolawole Taiwo Musbahu moved a motion on the need to make provision for adequate signage and directional road signs in the Federal Capital Territory.
The signage and directional signs promote orderliness and make society more efficient as it makes locating places and navigation of facilities convenient and easy for users.
The House adopted the motion resolving to urge the Minister of Federal Capital Territory to order the erection of signage and directional road signs across the Federal Capital Territory. Mandate the Committee on Federal Capital Territory to ensure implementation. Representative Ismail Tijani moved the motion on the need to investigate the ongoing recruitment into the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund (NSITF) and other agencies under the Federal Ministry of Labour and Productivity.
Concerned that only people from one particular part of the country are being recruited in the current exercise, which negate the principle of federal character. Aware that the Minister of Labour and Productivity has been embroiled in a battle to control the ministry, departments, agencies, including the NSITF, and had been summoned by National Assembly for alleged misdemeanor in 2016 and 2021, respectively.
The motion was adopted and the House resolved to mandate the Committees on Federal Character and Labour, Employment and Productivity to investigate the ongoing recruitment into the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund and other agencies under the Federal Ministry of Labour and recommend appropriate sanctions to anyone found culpable of undue favoritism and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Motions were voted on and adopted.
The ayes have it.
On a sad note, the House observed a minute's silence in honor of the late Hanifa Abubakar, the girl child murdered in Kano recently.
The soul of the young Hanifa rest in peace.
The program is House Ticket, coming to you on NTA Parliament. Earlier on, we took highlights from plenary for Tuesday and Wednesday, 1st and 2nd of February 2022, where we saw the House adopting the recommendations of the committee set up to investigate alleged killings by men of the Nigerian Customs Service. We will now take committee reports, starting with the ad hoc committee investigating the allegations of fraudulent activities of real estate developers in Abuja, the federal capital city. The report.
The ad hoc committee was set up with a mandate to fully investigate the real estate developers suspected of violating applicable laws and liaise with enforcement agencies with a view to prosecuting offenders, as well as work with relevant stakeholders and MDAs towards formulating a law, issuing guidelines or other appropriate legislation and regulations for the sector. The committee was also mandated to create a forum for members of the public to lodge their complaints against such fraudulent developers. It organized a hearing during which it received petitions and submissions from estate developers and subscribers, which will help it carry out its mandate. Representative Blessing Onu chairs the committee.
So which other petitioner do we have here? Yes?
Brains and Hammers.
Brains and Hammers City, like I said, is a project that has a history. We are aware of the petition. It is true that we are yet to deliver some houses. At the last sitting, I attempted to even give a deadline. Everyone that has petitioned against us on that project, we are at the last phase of delivering the last batches of the houses. And some of them are at different, or all of them are at different stages of completion. And I know for sure, on record, physical, on ground, that between April, May, we will deliver all the houses that are outstanding.
You are going to hand over their houses to them by April or March? We need to know what the resolution was.
I'm aware that some were invited and understanding were reached. I'm not sure.
Okay, furnish the committee. Furnish the committee with the resolution signed by both parties.
What phase? Are you aware of the phase you are meant to be allocated?
I was told, the last time I heard from them, I was told that we'll be given in phase 2. So, but when I visited them again, this year, they told me that they will not allocate me in phase 3. So I didn't quite understand what was going on.
I'm trying to get somewhere. Your own phase, we're going to use the document to confirm the phase you are allocated. But what phase were you allocated? Phase 2?
Phase 2.
Okay, now, Chairman, can you please let us have the documents to confirm which phase these people are allocated?
We'll go and see for ourselves and then re-invite them next week. If you are on our platform for complainants, then you will see it on the platform. Today is just for submission.
Sequel to the hearing, the committee went on oversight to some of the affected estate developers in the FCT.
A look at your title document, instruction to survey, site development plan, and building plan approval. Building plan approval. And if there is any development lease agreement, we want to see them.
What we have discovered is mind-boggling. So much. A lot of contraventions here and there, lots of infractions by the developers. In some of the places we went, no building plan approval, no documents like where we are here in FAB. There's no title documents. All FAB could present to this committee is just a lease agreement of 2003. So there's so much going on here, and it's quite unfortunate. And we promise that this committee is going to do something about it. We will look at the infractions, we will analyze it, and then we will send those that have infractions and contraventions to the necessary authority.
The committee was constituted late last year and is expected to carry out further investigation on the matter before submitting its report for legislative actions.
For you to exchange in this
Still
market,
on committees, the House Committee on Capital Market and Other Institutions, chaired by Representative Babangida Ibrahim, organized a 3-day stakeholders retreat on the Investment and Securities Bill 2021. The event took place in Lagos from Sunday the 30th of January to Tuesday the 1st of February 2022. While welcoming participants, the chairman of the committee gave an insight on the bill.
We should note that for this bill to pass through the legislative activity successfully in the National Assembly, it must be holistic, comprehensive, and has global flesh in the international investments and securities. Therefore, I urge the management of the Commission, our colleagues, and the entire stakeholders that gather here. If you take just one
resource persons on investment and securities presented papers on different aspects of the market and how the bill will help reposition it. The papers include overview of the bill, insolvency and related matters, overview of the development of Nigerian capital market, borrowing, trading in securities and related matters, commodity exchange, and many more.
The capital markets is pretty much that. It's a market. It's just that in this market, we really talk about money. We come to this market, and the people that come to the market are people who need money. And the other people that come there are people who have money. So the people who need money may be the government of Nigeria. They may be companies, banks, schools, local governments, anybody.
With regards to securities exchanges, the first one is Section 26, which is registration requirements and sanctions for non-compliance. This section makes it very clear that before you can start operating as a securities exchange, you must be registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission.
The definition of commodities in Nigeria, I think the definition by law should move beyond agriculture. You should be able to go into solid minerals and so many other things in the ecosystem to be able to support that particular part.
There were questions, comments and observations from the participants. The committee is expected to take the next legislative action in fine-tuning the bill towards passage into law.
On that note, we end this episode of House Decade. I'll come your way again soon with more activities from our legislators in the 9th House. Until then, support our legislators by sending in comments and questions through any of our social media platforms. See you next time and do stay safe.